People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man.
Against this right back, Charlie, definitely.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
Oh, I'm muted. Oh, no, I'm not anymore. People deluded. I'm back again. First things first, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, good night. I know we're starting at 12 officially. I thought, let me start a couple of moments early because I'm actually here. Obviously, please make sure you've hit the like button, you're commenting, you're subscribing, you're turning on your notification bells. It's a jam-packed week of content from myself and from you guys, people, because it's our platform. We're watching Sporting Lisbon on Thursday. Today, we're watching Chelsea Dortmund together. And obviously, also, we're watching Bayern Munich against Paris Saint-Germain. Appreciative to all you lot who support the content. Appreciate all you lot tuned in. Again, smash the like button, comment your thoughts. It's an interactive show and all of those good things, people. And one love for everybody tuned in as well. AMC, low T, appreciative to you lot. What's the point wasting time, man? Let's crack straight on in with it, really, lads. Really. You know, big up Man United for losing 7-0, man. I'm still getting on to my fans, my fans who support Man United, and also my brethren who support Man United. Serious crisis, man. The seven hair molecules that Ten Hag had on his hair, all gone on his head, are all gone now. Allegedly, he turned up at 7 a.m. as well to trade it. You just can't make it up. Happy birthday to Flamini as well, the former Arsenal man, as my phone has just messaged me. But yeah, people, let's look at all these latest news reports and things. The dream is free. The hustle is sold separately, as we already know. Osimhen's been speaking, you know, Napoli are doing quite well in Italy. He's doing quite well. He's got 2 years left on his deal. Obviously, when you look at centre mids and strikers, everybody in the top six, various different profiles and squad depth and stature and all those things are probably looking for these positions. Allegedly, Osimhen has said, I'm working so hard to make sure that I achieve my dream of playing in the Premier League. Napoli star Victor Osimhen admits he wants to move to England as Manchester United and Arsenal are prolific striker. He's going to cost a lot of money. Obviously, it would be good. You'd have him, you'd have Jesus, you'd have Eddie in the squad role. Obviously, you've got the Sakas, the Martinellis, the Trossards now, Smith Rowe, and anybody else we already have that I haven't mentioned or that comes in. Goals win games. We've been sharing out the goals. Why not bring in someone with a different profile that can actually head the ball and maybe be a bit more direct? He's revealed it's his dream to play in the Premier League. Obviously, he's got 2 years left on his deal. Napoli are going to have to give him a renewal. As you know, he's hot commodity. Everybody knows the Premier League has money. And Napoli are notoriously difficult to do business with. You know, Koulibaly didn't get a move for about 20 years after always being linked with a move to the Prem. Maybe with his performances for Chelsea, you see exactly why that never happened. But who knows, people? We've actually chased this man since he was 17 years of age. Obviously, now at 24, things are different. The Napoli striker is wanted by a host of English top-flight clubs this summer. Osimhen would cost a huge fee as he still has 2 years left on his contract. Victor Osimhen has revealed it is his dream to play in the Premier League, people, amidst the stunning season of performances for Serie A leaders Napoli. Osimhen is the Italian top flight's top goal scorer this season, having netted 19 goals in 21 appearances and has become Napoli's most important player on their way to establishing an astonishing 15-point lead at the top of the table. The 24-year-old scintillating form has obviously put Europe's biggest clubs on red alert, and he has now ramped up transfer speculation after revealing to The Athletic that he's working hard to one day play in the Prem. Maybe that's a bit of mind games to get a new deal. My guess is he would sign improved terms at Napoli, and again, Napoli will be even in a stronger negotiating position. But if he doesn't sign a contract this summer, he runs it down next year. You never know, people. He said himself specifically, I think playing in one of the top 5 leagues in the world, Serie A, is an amazing feeling for me. A lot of people worldwide consider the Premier League as the best and the strongest league, but now I'm in one of the best leagues in the world, which is the Italian Serie A. I'm working so hard to make sure that I achieve my dream of playing in the Premier League someday. But like I said, it's a process. I just want to keep on this momentum and continue to do well. Manchester United, Chelsea, and saving the best till last. A team that didn't lose 7-0 at the weekend and got 3 points. Arsenal have all been linked with launching audacious efforts for the Nigerian forward, with each needing a proven 20-goal a season striker to lead their line next season. I mean, that's discrediting Jesus, but we would be in the Champions League. We would need higher caliber players in general, in addition to Jesus. Premier League leaders Arsenal currently have to choose from Eddie Nketiah or Gabriel Jesus as the focal point of their attacks. Basically, you know, slyly, do we even have a striker available for Thursday? We hear it's touch and go with Eddie Nketiah, with obviously Trossard, Jesus. There's rumours he could be on because he's on loan. Obviously, again, Arteta has spoken of Smith Rowe and Reece Nelson actually being able to play as false nines. So I have to see. While Manchester United have had to deploy January loan signing Weghorst up front or in the 10, it didn't work at Anfield. And Chelsea have Aubameyang, who, as bro, you're a bit done him a bit dirty there. However, any such deal with Napoli would likely break the 100 million mark and could even top the British transfer record of 107 million that Chelsea paid Benfica for Enzo Fernandez in January. Now, obviously, you know what Chelsea did and every other Premier League club has done. They're at, you know, they're at a disadvantage. Napoli got a hot commodity. Do you want to pay the money? Obviously, it feels like every week the transfer record is being shattered. These things are going to go against Man United, Chelsea, and Arsenal, who all have and are earning a lot of money. Apparently, United are keeping tabs on Tammy Abraham. He's also been linked with Arsenal and Chelsea again. His latest comments will have sent Osimhen's Premier League chasers into a frenzy, with his public declaration a signal that he could be ready to swap the sunshine of Italy for the cold frost of England in the summer. Although any potential deal would first have to be enough to tempt Napoli, who have been notoriously tough negotiators in the past, to sell. Osimhen currently has 2 years left to run on his existing deal that expires in 2025, but will certainly leave before the end of that, as Napoli look to avoid missing out on a huge payday for their star striker. I mean, they could run it into next year. If he wins the league there, obviously you're going to feel happy at Napoli. You're adored. You won the league, assuming that happens. You'd be in the Champions League again next season. There is no rush. But Napoli have a bunch of decent players. The Serie A outfit could be set for an off-season of departures, with KK and Kim Min-jen both impressive enough to catch the attentions of European suitors. I mean, KK's been drawn with Napoli and everyone. He's going to cost a lot. Kim is a very decent centre-half, really, and it's been a shrewd addition. Once again, Osimhen said, I'm working so hard to make sure I achieve my dreams of playing in the Premier League. Now I'm in one of the best leagues, which is Serie A. It's an amazing feeling for me. Nice to be here, my guy. Not been around daytimes lately. No worries in the circle. Hopefully we get some top players. Rice for me is poor value with 1 year left. Zubimendi is the one. I hear that. Big up my guy Jams or Highlights. Make sure you're following him. I mean, he clips all us content creators up, man. I reckon he will cost 120 million to get him out of Napoli. And clubs might say, obviously, if you sign Osimhen and he does the job and he does the business and does what he's doing in Italy to a higher level, goals, win games, who cares? But it is a lot of money for someone whose contract's running down. So maybe clubs will try, maybe run it into next year. Again, like you said, can't pay, move out the place, really and truly. So it will cost a lot of money. And in today's day and age, this is probably the most they could get. Can't have Osimhen and Jesus. I disagree. Why can't you? Why can't you? You know, Jesus has a lot of strengths that Osimhen doesn't. Osimhen has a lot of strengths Jesus doesn't have. Jesus has the capacity to score more goals, but he doesn't have a strong catalogue. Obviously, with Osimhen, there's a bit of a Serie A tax because there's got to be a reason attackers go there, and it seems like everybody seems to hit it off. But there has been roles, and when you look at squad depth, when everyone's fit, all right, cool. But as you've seen, you know, we've had Jesus injured. Eddie Nketiah's picked up the mantelpiece. He's looked tired at times. Currently, he's injured. Trossard, we don't know the extent of his injury. Balogun is not even a thing. Maybe the club say if you could get 30, 50 million, that's the public are saying in terms of reports and stuff for Balogun, maybe that could get slapped towards Osimhen or somebody else. I don't think Arsenal are in for Osimhen for what it's worth, but yeah, the dream's free. The Arsenal sold separately. Keeping up this feed, Mikel Arteta now wants another forward at the Emirates. Arsenal could go in for another forward during the summer transfer window. Arsenal are still looking for players who can play across the front line. Football London reporter Kaya Kanak has told Give Me Sport. Despite signing Leandro Trossard during the January transfer window, Arsenal could look to bring in reinforcements in attack at the end of the season. In terms of attacking numbers, Arsenal don't immediately seem desperate for reinforcements. Trossard was recently brought in to provide competition for Martinelli and provide a cover option through the middle. Arsenal don't have a natural right-sided replacement for Bukayo Saka, who has managed to stay fit and start every single Premier League game this season. Blah, blah, blah. Scrolling all the way down to specifically what was said. They want players who can play across the front line, out wide and up front. That's why they signed Trossard. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go back in for another player. Rafinha seems off limits at the moment. He's obviously living his dream move at Barcelona. I think he's very keen to give it a proper go. Ansu Fati's injury record would probably be a concern as well when it comes to that interest. And I personally haven't heard anything concrete enough. That's not me saying the rumors aren't true. That's just what I know personally. So we'll have to see really and truly where that's going to be, where that's going to happen, where that's going to take Arsenal. Arsenal open talks with match winner Reece Nelson over a new contract ahead of his current deal expiring this summer, with the Gunners confident the winger wants to stay in North London. Arsenal are in talks with Saturday's match winner Reece Nelson over a new deal. Obviously, his future is uncertain. His contract is expiring in the summer, and obviously he did well against Nottingham Forest. He's gone even better and impacted the game in dramatic circumstances against Bournemouth. Discussions over an extension are underway, with the hope growing that the intention from all parties is to agree on a deal for Nelson to stay. Arsenal are confident the winger wants to remain in North London, raising the hope that a positive resolution can be found. As you know, he scored the winner in the 3-2 victory and comeback really against Bournemouth to maintain our 5-point lead gap at the top of the table. Not that I checked the league table. As you know, injuries have stunted Reece Nelson's progress, and off recent, like Arteta said, he hasn't been in the match day squad because tactically he feels they're stronger players to start, and obviously where the bench is concerned, to end the game or play some part. That was his first appearance of 2023. Whilst there's recognition that Arteta is building something special at the Emirates, the amount of first-team football Nelson is likely to be afforded is also gearing up to be a factor in these talks, people. So we'll have to see how that develops. Nelson has not changed his mind. His priority is to continue at Arsenal as current deal expires in June. Negotiations are ongoing over a new deal. Clubs across Europe appreciate him, but Nelson wants to stay. He's been linked in the present day with Crystal Palace, West Ham, Brighton, Nice, and probably a bunch of other clubs that I'm forgetting, people. 90 Minutes has offered some opinions, people, and said Arsenal are set to continue with talks with Reece Nelson over a new deal, but they're not close to reaching an agreement with the winger, sources have told 90 Minute people. 90 Minute understands talks will continue over a new contract with Nelson's current one set to expire in the summer, but as of yet, a breakthrough hasn't been reached, nor is one close. Sources have told 90 Minute that London clubs Brentford, Crystal Palace and West Ham would be interested in signing Nelson at the end of his contract, while he has interest from outside the capital and runaway championship leaders Burnley, Everton and Southampton. Nelson has already received offers from clubs in France, Germany and Italy. Obviously, he's previously spent time on loan in Germany with Hoffenheim and where Holland's concerned with Feyenoord. So moving abroad isn't something that really scares him. Dharma Chef of Sky Sports has been speaking, people, and he has specifically said, you would expect them to be in the Champions League. Obviously, Arsenal, I think you can say that's a given now. It's whether they win the league or not. That will take them into another market with regards to spending and the type of player they can attract, because not only can they say, look, we've got a great training ground with a great stadium, we've got Champions League this season as well. They'll still be attracting good players, even if they weren't in Europe, even when they were only in Europa. Imagine what they could do when they've got Champions League. So, yeah, and we've also been linked with Lavia people of Southampton, and we face competition from both Manchester United and Chelsea. The Times has reported Arsenal are the favourites to sign Declan Rice this summer. And who knows what else could happen if we are successful in them things there, people. We'll get on to what Leno has said in a second. Once again, further reports are saying Arsenal lead Victor Osimhen transfer race ahead of rivals Man United. Who knows, people? Man United are more likely to spend the bag than Osimhen. Right now, we look more attractive because we're higher than them in the league table and we're further ahead in terms of our rebuild and whatnot. Newcastle have been linked with Kieran Tierney historically. He's been linked with Aston Villa and maybe playing under, assuming he's still there, playing under a former gaffer in Unai Emery. Aston Villa have joined Newcastle United in the race for Arsenal defender Kieran Tierney, sources have told Football Insider. The 25-year-old future is up in air going into the summer, and the North Londoners could sell him to raise funds for new signings. Apparently, as reported last month, Tierney is being monitored by Newcastle as they assess the market for a new left-back this summer who can shot straight into their starting 11. Unfortunately, Tierney, the system has evolved. You can't really do what Zinchenko brings, so it's a squad player, nothing more. Unless Zinchenko's form deteriorates, he goes into midfield, or you show Arteta why he should somewhat be a bit more flexible and insert Tierney into the starting lineup. Villa are also interested in Tierney despite signing a left-back in January when Alex Moreno arrived from Real Betis in a 12 million deal. Villa could sell Luka Dean in the summer. So we'll have to see, people. Significant fee. I'm not sure Tierney is saying that we'll break even and make about 25 to 30 million. There's a sell-on clause to Celtic. Whether we should be helping Newcastle, who, you know, in a few years are going to be rivals for Arsenal, someone that's 25 prime years in front of him, I'm not too sure. I don't think Arsenal want to sell him. I think Tierney wants to leave. So that should really strengthen our negotiating hand, because it's not like we consider him damaged goods. So we'll have to see. But of his 26 appearances in all competitions, people, many have been as a sub, and he's only started 4 times in the Premier League. And I think yesterday, big up to everyone who's part of that stream yesterday, his Premier League minutes equates to about 27, 26, 27, 28 minutes per game. So I don't think Tierney will kick up a fuss. I think he'll give his all for now to the end of the season, and I think he'll keep it moving. It is what it is, really, in that regards. Arsenal will listen to offers for 3 senior stars to pave way for marquee signing, says Football Insider. The Gunners need to balance books with some significant sales after 3 big January captures and a 50 million net spend. I mean, I'm not saying you should do this, but if you get a fee for Ainsley Maitland-Niles, if you sell Balogun, if you get Cedric, Marie, Pepe off the wage books, the resources start looking better. There's not too many players that we actively want to sell that are going to recruit decent fees, but you've got Kieran Tierney, who you could at least break even on and whatnot, people. We did fail with a £70 million bid for Moises Caicedo. So how much is the desperate need, people? Of the 3 players, one is Kieran Tierney. Albert Sambi Lokonga could go, and Tavares could go. I mean, Tavares, we spent 8 million. You surely should make at least double that. Lokonga, I'm not too sure. Maybe it's worth loaning him out for 1 more year and seeing what he could pull up. Apparently, Moises Caicedo has said, we are trying to get into the Champions League. That is the dream of the team. It will be very difficult, but we are convinced we can do it together. We want to keep going into the end, and we are sure we will do it. He signed a new deal. I don't think Brighton will make the Champions League, but keep doing what you're doing. Allegedly, on the topic of Caicedo, Arsenal are still chasing Moises Caicedo as 90+ million asking price revealed. Arsenal among the Premier League sides still chasing Brighton star Moises Caicedo despite him signing a new contract, sources have told Football Insider. It's believed the 21-year-old's new deal will not deter any potential suitors, who also include Chelsea, Manchester United and Liverpool. Caicedo committed his future at Brighton until 2027 on Friday, but his renewed term sheet does not include a release clause. Apparently, there's a further option of another year, people. So essentially, it's until 2028. Apparently, Brighton slapped a reported price tag of 90 million on Caicedo's head in the winter window. They didn't want to sell him because they're targeting another big finish. But it's believed the Seagulls' bargaining chip has improved after a new contract was agreed, which is true. They don't want to let the player go. They want him to grow with the squad. 21 years of age, there'll be plenty of times to get better moves. Maybe they stop being a bit unreal. It's not really unrealistic in a day and age, but maybe they stop being a bit unrealistic with their asking fee in the summer because they've got time to assess what they want to do. Other clubs will have other options. As we know, he did the social media antics. The 21-year-old went public Stadium after news broke of interest from Arsenal in January, citing the need to secure his family's future with an improved pay packet. Caicedo now earns a reported wage of 60 grand a week after signing his new deal. Sources close to the midfielder have revealed he is still keen on moving to a top-tier club this summer as he wants to play at the highest level possible. He has notched 26 appearances as a regular for Brighton this season, notching 1 goal and 1 assist, and he did well at the World Cup with his country, Ecuador. So we'll have to see how that one develops, people. I'm not too sure. Apparently, Tierney is tempted by a move to Newcastle this summer if he continues to struggle for game time at Arsenal, people. He's got 3 years left on his deal. In 2021, did he, or something like that? Did he not sign improved terms? So I have to see. The Gunners have not yet decided if they would sanction the departure of Tierney, but if he leaves, they would want more than the 25 million they paid to sign him from Celtic. Shouldn't leave unless he makes it abundantly clear we have a replacement confirmed, because we're going to be in the Champions League, and Zinchenko's had a little knocks and things. Unless you can find another guy that plays exactly like Zinchenko, which I don't know how much they're out there in that left back role, or someone that can do what Tierney does but is happy sitting on the bench, I don't know. But you'd imagine this is something we had to consider, and we're actively looking. Apparently, Leicester were interested in signing a 25-year-old in January, as Brendan Rodgers is a big admirer of Tierney after working with him at Celtic. So we've seen Aston Villa, Newcastle, Leicester, and probably a couple of European clubs. Again, it wouldn't have made sense selling him mid-season, rightly so, people. Tierney was a regular when Arteta was hired by Arsenal in December 2019, but he has suffered from a change in system this season. Yeah, and really, Zinchenko being available. Smash the like button if you haven't already, folks. So it all depends. Again, we were linked with Victor Rogue previously. It probably looks like that's a myth. Barcelona are advancing in talks to sign Victor Rogue. Atletico Paranaense have already told other clubs that he will be a Barcelona player. Agreement getting close for a deal up to 40 million euros, either with variables or on loan plus mandatory purchase option. So another one one bites the dust there. We have been keeping up the Tierney theme. Apparently, Arsenal could swap Tierney for Manuel Locatelli. If Locatelli was really on it, which he wasn't, and if I really bought this, then I'd be on that as well. Why not? Arsenal reportedly targeting a summer move for Juventus midfielder Manuel Locatelli and could offer Tierney in a potential swap deal. Arsenal are reportedly open to offers for Tierney this summer. I value him at around 30 million. Newcastle are thought to have him firmly on their radar, and the Gunners could look to cash in. As per Italian news outlet Calcio Mercato Web, which I don't believe, the Gunners are targeting a move for Locatelli this summer and are offering Tierney in exchange. However, that offer would not convince Juventus to sell. Inside the North London club would likely have to offer money up front as well as Tierney. So, yeah, we'll have to see. I don't really believe that, but you can if you want, people. We'll look at this in a bit. 80 million star now excited by moving to the Emirates. Arsenal have been boosted in their pursuit of Declan Rice as the West Ham midfielder is flattered by the Premier League leader's interest and positive signs are coming out of the Emirates Stadium, says Football.London journalist Kaya Kainak. Specifically, the man himself said, in fact, just before that, people, apparently it's understood that Arsenal are in sustained contact with Rice's reps and are willing to put a 200k per week contract on the table as they look to steal a march on other suitors. Apparently, the report suggests the North Londoners are confident of beating Chelsea to the central midfielder's signature, while he could be lured away from West Ham for 80 million. We'll have to see. Respected journalist Peter Root recently told Give Me Sport that the England international is interested in linking up with the Premier League pace setters and could be at the centre of a bidding war. There is uncertainty over Rice's long-term future as he's set to enter the final 12 months of his 60 grand per week contract in the summer, but West Ham could trigger an option to extend the agreement by another year. Kaya said, from what I hear, he's quite happy with the interest. He's quite excited by the prospect of moving to Arsenal and the prospect of playing in the Champions League, which is something he's always said. He's been very flattered by the fact that Arsenal are making an effort to sign him, and going in this way, I think it's looking positive for Arsenal. We'll have to see. Liverpool apparently keeping close tabs. We've heard City previously are interested, and we hear Man United are admirers as well. Man, shout out to you lot tuned in. Should have got a striker in January. Appreciate the Twitch ones. Osimhen is not suited to our style of play. Better Vlahovic. Not sure. Nelson would be nothing more than a bench option, but as long as he does what he's done at Bournemouth, when called upon, I hear it. If Nelson is serious, he's leaving. I don't care if he leaves or stays, but offering a new contract, we could also have value for him. I hear that. How many years would Nelson get? Surely a 2-3 year deal, maybe 2 years, maybe 2 years plus an option of a third. 1 year doesn't really make sense because you're in this scenario again. Maybe 2 years. You've got 2 years, 18 months to show you're 30. Either you go on loan and put yourself in the shop window, or you do something from now to the end of the season, and obviously next season, more like 40 mil for Kieran Tierney. I hear that, but if I'm Newcastle, Leicester, Villa, or anyone else, I'm sitting there and saying, boy, he's only averaged around half an hour every game he's played for you lot. The game has advanced. We're seeing inverted wing backs. Tierney's more of an old school one. He can't really stay fit. But if I'm Arsenal, I'm saying, listen, he's a key player. He starts at a lot of teams in the Premier League and a lot of top clubs. We've just upgraded the system. He's 25. He's a Scottish international. So it'll be interesting. I think Tierney has to force his hand. Pepe, of course, has to go. And as much as I think that, Arteta doesn't want to keep unhappy players, and if Tierney wants to leave, he can leave, and it'll more be like being kind to him. We've given him a new deal amongst all the other things we've said. And while we don't want unhappy players, people are not doing us no favours. If we try and buy Bruno Guimaraes, even if he was available, Newcastle, rightly so, not going to do us any favours. So why do it for them? If you make a somewhat profit on Tierney and things like that, we move in it. But we need to get an inflated fee because, as you lot know, players' fees and valuations they're gone out the window now. So we need to show we can hustle really and truly. Tierney worth 35 million plus ads. Bro, if Newcastle get Champions League, we need to move mad. Italians don't come to the English Premier League, is proven facts. If we are selling Tierney, it better be for really good money. There aren't a lot of good left backs in the market. I hear that. Locatelli crocked in it, not too sure, man, but he hasn't really done too much, really and truly, for Juventus. Rafael going to cost a pretty penny, but his contract's running up, so he could be cheaper than Osimhen, even though I don't think either player signs for Arsenal, because I don't think we got in for them. Not for a geezer with 1 year on it. If Tierney leaves, we need cover too. Zinchenko missed a lot of early games for us, and with Champions League football, it won't be easy. I agree firmly. Don't forget to smash the like button. Losing Tierney on the cheap will need another fullback. Exactly why I said, can we get top fees? Because anything we get for Tierney, unless there's like an early emerging talent, we're going to have to invest that on another guy on top of everything else we're going to do, really. And there's a lot of other options to address before we talk about Tierney's situation, in my opinion. Yunus Musa has been linked with Arsenal, Chelsea, and a whole bunch of other clubs, people. Yunus Musa not going to Arsenal, but Fulham ideal for 34 million ace. What does this mean? This is just someone's opinions. I don't really care for their opinions. I want articles. Aston Villa have been linked with Denzel Dumfries, and so have we, people. I don't really buy that, and I'm sure a lot of you won't either. Wilfred Zaha can join Arsenal or Chelsea in the free transfer after years of waiting. Arsenal and Chelsea are among a number of clubs monitoring Wilfred Zaha's situation, with Crystal Palace start entering the final weeks of his contract. I think, while I'm not going to discredit him, he's turning 31 this year. Jorginho and Trossard show no signs of slowing down. El Nene, Partey and Xhaka are kind of around this age range. Zaha could help us a lot, but I just feel the time's gone, really and truly, if I'm completely honest with you. It's understood Cristiano Ronaldo's new club, El Nazir, are mulling over an approach, but according to TalkSport, a move across London is more a likely outcome. Arsenal, Tottenham and Chelsea have all shown interest in Zaha in the past, and although he's turning 31 this year, nabbing for nothing may well appear to the likes of Graham Potter and Mikel Arteta. You're going to have to give Zaha a decent contract anyways because of his age, because of the years he's put, years of service in the Premier League, and the fact that he'll be a free agent. We'll have to see, really. In the years since, Zaha has established himself as one of the Premier League's most capable forwards outside the Big Six, netting 67 goals in just under 300 appearances. He scored a career-best 14 league goals last season and has 6 to his name in the current campaign. Zaha's importance to Patrick Vieira's side is undeniable, but with a promising batch of youngsters such as Eze and Elise coming through, the prospect of losing him doesn't feel as quite disastrous as it once did. So it don't really say anything other than previous interest in the lad, people. Liverpool have been linked with Ivan Ndiko. With us going for Kyrgios, I wouldn't rule out Ivan Ndiko, but it seems like his free transfer, his free signature is not a thing for Arsenal. Arsenal switch would be perfect for out of favour Real Madrid star who will be available for free. Marco Asensio has been linked with Barcelona. Arsenal would be perfect for him. I mean, he's still got talent. I wouldn't be against it, Champions League proven, because he's won a couple of them without necessarily being a key player. Don't know if he'll sign a renewal at Real Madrid, but I know I don't buy that. Cesc Fabregas was back at London Coley with Jack Wilshere, as you can see here, people. We'll have to really see how these things develop. Let's see what this article has said as well to wrap up the transfer news part of this live stream, people. On Lavia, Fabrizio Romano said nothing has changed for Romeo Lavia. At the moment, it's normal to see big clubs like Arsenal linked because he's a top talent, but there's nothing concrete at this stage. I expect he'll cost more than 40 million because that's the buyback clause for Manchester City. We already know with Reece Nelson, Brentford, Palace, West Ham, Everton, Southampton, Nice, Burnley, all interested in him. He previously said, of course, I've been here since I was 8 and Arsenal is all I know. I'm only a couple of minutes from the stadium. All my family is there, so of course I'd love to stay. This was in December of last year. I said a few times, I've been here since I was 8. I'm 23 now, so I've been here a long time. I am Arsenal through and through. So to be playing even in games just like this, I'm delighted. Of course, injuries are just a minor setback, but of course, I just look towards the future and hopefully I can play many more years at the club. If we just humour ourselves completely off topic, people, with Reece Nelson, because as much listen, no one's more Haaland than me. I've previously said it's an emotional call from me, but if someone's to get a new lease of life or a new deal, I'd love it to be Reece Nelson, purely because I believe there's a talent in there. But I do think if you're going to set down a marker now, it's your time, because I think if you didn't get injured against Nottingham Forest or whatever game it was after you built on the Forest game, you might have made something happen. But you might have to leave Arsenal to get to the Reece Nelson you want to be, really and truly. If you look at the appearances, despite the fact that he's now 23, kind of been on the fringes of things since he was 18, he's still only played 56 times for Arsenal Football Club. He's still only played 26 times in the league. When you look at, he's been injured and stuff, but he's been in 3 appearances. I mean, his record's wavy. Mudryk and all them duds there could never. 3 goals in 3 games in the Premier League and 2 assists. Got to have one of the best minutes to goals ratio going at the moment, but he's only played 84 minutes. He's played 90 minutes in the EFL Trophy where he went out, and the majority of his football has come in the Europa League with 162. Now, he hasn't been helped with injuries. 5 problems ruled him out of the Europa League initially, as you can see, and whatnot, people. He had 5 injuries at the start of the season. Then he held the bench. Obviously came off the bench and impacted quite well against Nottingham Forest. Probably could have played his way into the Chelsea team, but it was an adapt thing. Then he's got 5 injuries again. Then he's not been in the squad. So some of it has been injuries affecting his consistency. Sometimes he's probably just not been a good option, really and truly, necessarily. And in his 21 minutes against Bournemouth, he did well. So I'm all for that, people. But with him being 23, it takes me back to what Arsene Wenger said a few years ago when he spoke about, this could apply to Lokonga as well, many players, when he spoke about Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Previously, Arsene Wenger said, just on the topic of being 23 years of age, people, He said this was in relation to Alex, as I said. He's not young. He's not a young player anymore. He is now 23. And at 23, you become a football player who is the finished article. Before 23, you learn your job. At 23, you become more consistent. You know what's expected of you. You know how to deal with the pressure, with the situation, with the competition inside the squad. So that could apply, you know, you remove that could actually apply to today. So it's an interesting way of looking at stuff. In relation to Arsenal's injury news, people, allegedly Leandro Trossard is due to have further tests on Monday, but Arsenal hope that taking him off quickly on Saturday prevented significant damage to his groin. Trossard is likely to miss the game against Sporting Lisbon in Portugal on Thursday, people. Eddie Nketiah is also expected to miss the Sporting Lisbon match due to an ankle injury after he was absent against Bournemouth. He is also a doubt for Sunday's game at Fulham. So, Fulham away is not going to be easy. Apparently, Arsenal optimistic that Leandro Trossard once again did not suffer a serious groin injury against Bournemouth. Let's see exactly what's being said. Trossard is due to have further tests on Monday, which was yesterday. You need 48 hours to see the diagnosis. But leaders Arsenal hope that taking him off quickly on Saturday prevented significant damage to his groin. Trossard's likely to miss that. Eddie allegedly is likely to miss that as well, people. There was rumors, you know, there's rumors that Gabriel Jesus, according to Kaya, Jesus might travel with the team to Lisbon this week with Eddie Nketiah. It could make it if he passes a late fitness test. If he's not fit, leave him out, people. So we'll have to see in relation to that. Jorginho has been on the bench. He's had an illness, but as Arteta said, he is fine. And Nketiah has picked up a knock, wasn't involved. Smith Rowe obviously hasn't played too much football, but he is fit. Gabriel Jesus. Arsenal are hopeful of having Jesus back in the first team squad before the international break towards the end of March. Football.London understands the North London outfit welcomed Crystal Palace to the Emirates before the club action pauses for a fortnight due to international fixtures. Arsenal are hopeful of having the former Man City frontman back in the squad before the players head off with their respective nations. Fair enough, really and truly. And as we know, El Nene won't be coming back anytime soon. As we know, Jesus did join the post-match warm-down with the substitutes following the 5-goal thriller that saw us win 3-2 against Bournemouth. It's crazy that we've still been able to do what we're doing. Jesus has missed 12 games, people. And it's nice to see he's not far away from fitness and he's doing his little training here and there. Hopefully he can continue, man. And really and truly, we won't know if he'll be involved, but hopefully sooner rather than later, we're going to need a big push. Apparently, Leno's been speaking, people, about, you know, leaving Arsenal and everything else, people. Specifically, Leno has said, I don't have any toxic feelings or bad energy for Arsenal. It didn't end in a perfect way, but my reception at the Emirates was really good. I get fans coming up to me saying, thank you for your 4 years. You were very good. Yeah, do you know what? A lot of the times we'd lose 4-0 and you'd still be the man of the match, really. I was really happy with my performances. Even when they dropped, I did nothing wrong. I came through the front door and I left through the front door. I still have a connection to the club. It was clear for me I wanted to stay in the Premier League. It was the best league for me in the world by far. And London life, I really love it here. Probably should have sold you for more than 3 million quid, though. I speak to people at Arsenal about wanting to join Fulham. Everyone said it's a nice family club. And I played many times against Fulham. It's an old school stadium. All these aspects played a role. The goalkeeper coach and manager spoke to me about their plans. Hugo is a very good coach. I love my job. And if you have someone who is always smiling, he lifts you in difficult times. At the beginning, the main goal was to stay in the Premier League. We're in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. We're 7th in the league. No one saw that coming. And again, on Sunday, we can't look beyond Sporting Lisbon, but they're going to be on stuff. You know, that Manuel Solomon brother just keeps bagging, really. You know, Ivan Toney was good yesterday. And he went on to say, we were all good additions, but we are not the spine of the team. The energy was already there before. My form is the same as the team's. Pretty good. Most of the games at the beginning, you have a feeling you are the underdog. At Arsenal, it was a little bit different because you had to win and there was a lot of pressure. This season, we gave everything back to the fans. The expectations were different, but now the fans are dreaming. It's growing. I feel at home here. He then spoke about Arsenal. And said, I didn't go to the World Cup because I didn't play at Arsenal. And then the World Cup was in November. I can accept that. But hopefully in March, in the summer, or even next season, I can go back. That would be great for me. He did say he hopes we can win the league, people, and he thinks we can. So we'll have to see in that regards. We've seen that already. Benjamin White said he'll be a gardener if he wasn't a footballer, really. Nice to see footballers speaking about this. I'd probably be working with my dad if I wasn't a footballer. He used to be a gardener. I think that's why there was never any pressure on me growing up, because I would have been really happy with that. I went into football, but it would have been no problem for me to do what my dad does. I never used to watch football much anyways. If it was on when I was a kid, after 5 minutes, I'd get bored of it and go outside and play football. I didn't really watch it. I'd rather much do it. Even now, I don't really watch football. I watch my own clips and my own footage to help me improve, but I couldn't watch a game for fun. Fair enough, man. You're entitled to switch off how you switch off. When you play, keep playing like you're playing. Don't need to watch football. I'm obsessed with being the best I can and being successful, and that would have been in anything I did. So that's lovely to hear. I always wanted to do the most I can to be a success. If I had gone into gardening, it would have been the same. Fair enough. My profession just happens to also be a lot of people's hobbies. They look forward to every Saturday to watch the game, and that's great. But for me, it's about being on pitches every single day, trying to constantly be the best you can be. That's the bit I really love. When I came into the training ground, it was all about football. It's all about football, 100% focus. When I leave, I switch off from it. I don't think my dad has ever said to me, shall we watch a game on TV? He absolutely isn't interested in that. I don't think he's ever watched one on TV, not even yours. Dad's done you dirty, really and truly there. So we'll have to see, people. Going back over here, as we've said, we saw that with Reece Nelson. Tierney, apparently Juventus are monitoring him, people. We'll have to see, really. I mean, I'd probably want to go Juventus over Aston Villa, Leicester and Newcastle personally. Newcastle is close to Scotland, so there could be that. Granit Xhaka could be getting a new deal. Peter Rook has said, I think Arsenal are determined to keep him now. He's playing in this further role that he's not accustomed to, but he's done really well for Arsenal. I mean, not really true if you look at his role at Switzerland and actually when he signed for Arsenal and Wenger, they looked at him crazy and said he's a box-to-box midfielder. His contract is up in 2024, and having tied down other players to new contracts, getting Martinelli tied up, and they're close to Saka as well, I think they're going to be looking around at the rest of the squad, people. So make of that what you want. Allegedly, Kyrill's been speaking, people. He's at the Ola bench for a while now at Arsenal. He said he's waiting patiently. Specifically, what has he said? What does Mikel Arteta pay attention to? I think he pays attention to everything. I thought that if we were leading by 2 or 3 goals, I'd get a chance. However, I thought you so too. However, I'm patiently waiting. Everyone would like to play. I wouldn't necessarily start you against Sporting. I want to see Gabriel and Saliba, but if you start, you have my blessings. Really, really and truly. Then went on to say, when you look at all of Arsenal, they have a very strong squad for the Premier League. They want to play young players. They're not afraid to bet on them. I took that into account when I came here. He then went on to say, the moment you enter the training ground, you immediately see how big the place is, how many training fields there are. You can see that Arsenal is a very big club here. There's a lot of the ball, a lot of small games, particularly everything is done with the ball. So yeah, big up yourself, Kyril, man. Hopefully you get an opportunity sooner rather than later. We've seen that with you. Should we see what goal.com is saying on transfer reports and rumours, people? Once again, we've been linked with swapping a swap deal, better yet, for Tierney and Locatelli. We're interested in signing Locatelli. We've seen that before. Clubs are fighting for Reece Nelson while we're all trying to get him to sign new terms. Fabrizio Romano has played down our interest in Lavia. Arsenal have registered interest in Brighton playmaker Alexis McAllister. I'm all for that. Declan Rice is very open to Arsenal move, people. Declan Rice has said that he admires Arsenal, their form, their style, and Mikel Arteta, which would also suggest he's very open to a move to Arsenal, said Ben Jacobs. TalkSport has reported Arsenal and a couple of clubs are looking at Zaha on a free. Arsenal battle Barcelona in Manuel Solomon race, who's doing quite well for Fulham at the moment. You know, was we not looking at him when he was at Shakhtar Donetsk? Arsenal want to sign Julian Brandt at all costs. Lautaro Martinez has doubled down on his commitment to Inter Milan after Arsenal rumours. We've been linked with selling Smith Rowe in the summer. Lol, we're fighting Newcastle to sign Paqueta. Saliba's contract talks are progressing. We previously had a few days ago, we're looking at Raheem Sterling. Apparently, we've submitted a bid of 40 million euros for Sergio Milinkovic-Savic. Newcastle are keen on Tierney. We've joined the race to sign Celta Vigo midfielder Gabri Vega, along with Manchester United and other clubs. And finally, it said Arsenal have joined Liverpool in the race for Nico Williams. So again, the dream is free. The hustle is sold separately, people. Whether you lot believe these things is neither here nor there. But yeah, I'm going to leave you lot to it in that regard. Balogun is spectacular. Juventus going to offer us 2 million up front and 25 million over 10 years. One love to the Twitch gang. Good on Leno. Shout out Josh. Fulham, Chelsea. We need Jesus. The Champions League is coming. We need to build a capable squad for rotation. I'm with you with that. How much do you reckon Barca would want for Balde? Definitely worth looking at if Tierney leaves. I mean, I'd bid 35, 40 million to get a conversation started, but it's probably a lot more than that. He's an academy prospect. He's one of the few players consistently performing. So why not, man? I know it's very unlikely, but I want to know what you think of Mbappe transfer to Arsenal. I mean, the dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. I'd love killing Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, all these guys, but you can forget about that, really. Might make sense why we were linked with Balde from Barcelona about a month ago. Newcastle paid 45 million for Gordon. At least 40 million for Tierney should be what we're asking. Who do you want, DG, if you had the choice to pick 2 players? Who knows, man? I wouldn't mind Zubimendi. I think Zubimendi, Sociedad would be quite good. And I do want a forward, really and truly, if I'm honest. You know, bring me Kareem Adeyemi, pay Dortmund, whatever they want for the lad. Tariq Mitchell, he could be a calm, steady Eddie, really and truly. But Palace are going to cost a charge an arm and a leg. Really, no one's going to let these. There's going to be a slight inflation on his value, really. Nelson could be good for us off the bench, but devil's advocate, we could get a better winger who could compete for Saka's spot. I like Nelson, but if we're in the Champions League, we need to upgrade in areas. I think that's a fair shout, and I don't think anyone could begrudge you for that claim, really and truly. I think that's a very fair shout and comment to have, if I'm completely honest. Smash the like button if you haven't already, people, and one love to the 55 of you that have already. What we need and what we get are 2 different worlds. Really, Edu and Vinay need to get their fingers out ASAP. We do need a Giroud type. I hear that. No point even thinking about Mbappe and other dream world transfers for as long as these oil men are owning clubs. Camavinga would be a dream. Balogun for free. Why pay for a striker when we have a 50 million youth bagging goals in France? I mean, I'm all for giving Balogun a chance, but I do want someone a bit more proven. It's a different world rocking up in the Champions League. And, you know, I would implore everyone, while I think I'm not discrediting a damn thing Balogun has done, he has done very good. He is doing well. He is at where he should be at. But it's a different ball game if we go into next season, provided this season ends positively or negatively how we want. There's going to be a degree of expectation. We're going to be in the Champions League. We've already got a lot of young players who have done well, but at times showed their age. The dynamics are going to be even further as well. So I would bet on Balogun and give him an opportunity. But if you offer me the chance to sign a proven striker that's done it, someone with a completely different profile, I would absolutely do it. Credit to Nelson to Balogun. But there is a French league tax. Is this an anomaly of a season, or is he here now? How much football are you going to get at Arsenal? Because that is going to affect your valuation. I'm all for giving him a chance, but if Arteta said, you know what, I want to go for the Osimhens, the Vlahovics, and all these guys of the world, I think we'd be silly not to explore that. As much as I believe in Balogun and want him to stay, who says Balogun necessarily wants to stay? He's contracted until 2025. It's 2023. At this moment in time, Eddie Nketiah is ahead of him in the pecking order because he's gone out on loan. He's gone out on loan. He's still here. You've got Jesus who's playing in front of you. Trossard as a false 9 is an option, along with Martinelli and their relationship. There's a lot of factors, so I don't think there's a right or wrong in relation to Balogun. What we need to do is control all variables, and he's contracted until 2025. Arsenal, probably in an ideal world, you probably give him a new deal and loan him back out and protect the resale value. I mean, big up the Hay lenders, but not everyone can be part of this. Again, no one more than me wants to see a whole 11 of Hayland youngsters. You know, I'll always fight the cases of Ainsley and Nelson, but the more we're going up the levels, the more, unfortunately, people are going to get left behind. Tierney, I still think he could be part of this thing, but if he wants to leave because he's not a starter anymore, cool. You know, there's going to come a time where Eddie Nketiah may or may not be good enough in the role he's playing in. You know, big up Granit Xhaka, but we might need to upgrade on that. Might need to upgrade on Partey. I love Ramsdale and Gabriel, but there might be a left-sided centre-back and a goalkeeper who is even better. You know, in the premise of things, we should always be looking to bring in players better than what we have, excluding squad depth and all of those sort of things. So it's an interesting debate, and it all depends if Balogun wants to stay, because once you've been given that drug of first team football, of playing against these stars, of scoring goals and scoring your first hat trick and all that sort of stuff, it's very difficult to, which he'd have to accept, at least initially, is warming the bench at Arsenal and maybe getting minutes. And actually what you also got to consider is whether you're a striker, a number 10, a winger, there's only so many attacking players that can be on that bench, really. Nelson's been out of the last match day squads because of tactical decisions, as the gaffer has said, really. You can't have 10 strikers, you know. Arteta has to pick his 11. Then you need suitable left back, right back, centre half options. You obviously need a goalie on the bench. You need a couple of others, really. What would go against Nelson for me is, again, like with Balogun, if you could bring me a man that could play up front and as well as all the other front positions, I'll take that. But if Arteta said, you know what, there's a winger out there, Bukayo Saka, he can fight him on the right-hand side. There's a striker that is better than what we have, his levels with what we have is a different profile, and I'm bringing in a player that can do both of these things or two, I'm on that, because that's going to make us closer to being a team that can consistently fight for the league, consistently fight for top honours, really and truly. We're not here to make friends. Of course, we want, in an ideal world, everyone gets game time. Every young player makes it. Every player like Tierney, in Tierney's case, gets fantastic game time, and we keep moving. But We're not here to make friends. We're here to win football games fundamentally, really. Saka isn't playing because he's a nice guy. You know, that the way Saka carries himself is testament to him and his family is lovely. But he's playing because he's an effing fantastic footballer. You know, Saka has a target on his back. Number 7 at Arsenal Football Club. The only way in theory is down. You're at the pinnacle of the mountain. He's holding on to that shirt. Smith Rowe's done dirty, but last year he showed he can hold on to that shirt. Eddie Nketiah's got a target on his back now with the number 14. You know, Martinelli's grabbed the shirt now. Go and grab your shirts. Trossard and Jorginho, before their injuries, grab their shirts in their little moments they've been at the club. You know, if Zinchenko drops off, you've got Tierney, who is a starter at most other clubs, really, to take his shirt. Tomiyasu, last times he's come off the bench, has looked a bit booky. Benjamin White messes about. Tomiyasu could come in. This is what we need. And naturally, there's going to be a byproduct. And you're not even going to stop that. You look at Manchester City. You know, you look at Caicedo. He can't get it. He was playing week in, week out. He couldn't get a game, bust out to Bayern Munich. These things are going to happen. Every week, there's a player that's not really happy with their game time at Manchester City that wants to keep it moving. That's the territory we want to aspire to be in. And naturally, no one's going to be happy. You know, I'm sure Mikel Arteta would love to give everybody all heap of game time, but life doesn't work like that. You know, I think a big reason as to why our season has been the way it has been is because yes, we've had to rotate. There's been injuries, and Arteta does not, in my opinion, have to learn to rotate when he gets certain other players a bit better, make us a bit unpredictable. But we've played the same 11 9 times out of 10. Relationships have been building, especially defensively with Ramsdale, Gabriel, Zinchenko, and Benjamin, and obviously the 2 centre halves in Saliba and Gabriel. Centre mid the same, Xhaka in his role the same. The relationships with Granit Xhaka and Zinchenko primarily. You're now seeing it with Martinelli and Trossard prior to their injury. Saka and Benjamin White completely better than Tomiyasu and Saka. Not to do Tomiyasu dirty, but you saw the difference really and truly when Benjamin White came on. Forget the goal that he scored where he done well, and I can't forget it. He's impacted the game. All of a sudden, Saka is closer to their fullback taking them on. With Tomiyasu, typically Saka's having to drop to the halfway line where Saka is great. He can dance past a couple of players, but you can't expect him to do that 9 times out of 10 where he's being kicked from pillar to post. So we can't have it every way. Some key players right now are going to help us and then have to get rid of them in maybe 2-3 seasons. You have to consistently adapt. And we've done that with Arsene Wenger. You've seen Pep do that at every club he's been at. You've seen Sir Alex Ferguson historically do that. Liverpool, in my opinion, haven't necessarily done that. That's why they've kind of stagnated. But if you go on the last game, Salah is here for the present. You've got historically, he's injured, but Diaz, Jota's a big part player at the moment. Obviously, Cody Gakpo and Nunes, whether it's good enough or not, but that natural evolution. And actually, in the middle of the part, they need to make some, really. And where you look at Granit Xhaka, Partey, and Nene Jorginho, I'm not saying get rid of them right now, but we need to upgrade on them before it becomes abundantly clear. You know, Partey's been very good since he's come back from his injuries. Xhaka has done well this season. Whatever you say about El Nene, I think he's cool for the squad. In the minutes he plays, he knows his position. Jorginho had a lot of critics, and they're still out there. The jury's still out there, but he's done very well. But you need to find these long-term replacements. You don't want to have these players in the middle of the park where they're physically unable. And it's an age-old one. When do you do that, really? So it's a fantastic debate and all of those sort of things, people. Don't forget, after this, we are watching Chelsea against Borussia Dortmund, people. Make sure you're here for that. Even if you can't be there, please hit the like button. It helps the engagement and it grows our platform. Second link you'll see me post is obviously Sporting Lisbon and Arsenal on Thursday. Make sure you're there for that one. And then tomorrow, we're watching Bayern Munich against Paris Saint-Germain. Yeah, Tierney and Martinelli have a good connection. Martinelli's put himself into the team sheet. Tierney's been left. Tierney, in many ways, I like the fact that Tierney's trying to adapt, and he does give it a good go of playing that inverted role. Zinchenko's a centre mid, playing at left back. In reality, he's in the midfield. Tierney's a traditional fullback, and in many ways, I like the fact that he's learning, he's adapting. But you, not even to criticize him, you're a traditional fullback. You have not got the passing range, the competency, the guile on the ball that Zinchenko has. It's 2 different roles, really. And I'm not discrediting Tierney. I think there's plenty of games we'll need that. I think there's plenty of times Zinchenko, I wish he was like that for as great as he's been. But Tierney's being asked to do something that he can't do. And again, footballers are always changing. Xhaka's reworked his role, potentially, always developing. But at 25 years of age, playing for club and country, being a key part of Arsenal's team and signing a new deal the other day, it is what it is. So Tierney and Martinelli have a good connection, but that's not the thing at this moment in time, really. I wouldn't rule it out because I think you need to have a lot more options than not. But yeah, man. I believe Balogun and Nelson can be our Champions League players. They have proven they have levels, and I want them here. Again, it's a bit Hayland agenda, but man, they're good. I want them here, but I want the best for the club first, man. I'm not saying they're not, but yeah. Why paying so much on Osimhen when there is flow? We should incorporate flow into the main team and making the strike partner with Jesus. It's not. I'm not against that, but what evidence has he shown? You know, Osimhen's been doing it for years. You know, Balogun's been doing it for a couple of months. I'm not discrediting it, but there's not that expectation yet. And young players are going to go through good or bad moments. People writ off Balogun at Middlesbrough, his first loan. I don't think there's ever a thing called a bad loan because it helps you build on that. He's used them negative experiences and doing quite well at Reims. He's competent in his role. He's consistent and he's now confident. So I would love to see him come back in the summer, cut your teeth, see if Arteta can use you. But if not, I want that situation addressed early. If it's clear that Balogun's not going to get enough game time, if you want to sell him, cool. If you want to loan him back out, cool. Bearing in mind his contract, as stated, we need a Saka backup as soon as possible. Would be happy with a Saka backup and a centre defensive mid. With inflated British prices and the money received for mediocre players, Tierney should not be sold for anything less than 70 billion. Dream chasing, my guy. Can't imagine Balogun wanting to go back to hold bench after getting a taste of being important to the team. I think he's going to have to accept that, though, to a slight degree, even though I agree, counteracting my own logic. Bro, are you going to do better than what Jesus does? Or the other guys? Show Arteta that you have your own ingredients to bring to the mill. I would take Laturo from Inter for a striker. I see him as a slightly better Firmino plus more pace. Firmino link-up play twice for his, really. I like Laturo, but I'm not quite as keen as I was. I mean, the articles say we're interested in Osimhen. The dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. I'd rather sell Eddie and keep Nelson. I still feel like Nelson has much more to offer than Eddie and maybe sign a better striker. Balogun isn't going to come back and play second fiddle to anyone. Feel like he's going to want first team ball. Ideal lineup for the first leg, says Fuad. Big up yourselves with your talking points. I want a strong team. I know we have to rest players. I know we've had 3 games in a week, 3 games in 10 days. I know the games are coming thick and fast and whatnot. But I'm not being funny. If this was the last 16 of the Champions League and we're playing on Sunday, no one's going to be saying rotate for the sake of rotation, really. So if we want to be that team, we need to play the right players. And I know physically we've got some injuries. There's tired legs. We're getting a better squad, so we should be able to rotate. But if anything, done off the game in the first 45 minutes of the first leg, then rotate all you want and keep one eye on Fulham on Sunday, which is going to be a serious physical game, demanding game, because they're in inform and things. You know what? If Turner came in, I wouldn't mind Turner. I don't think Turner's put a foot wrong in the minutes he's played. I just want to go with Ramsdale because, again, strongest team sort of stuff. I would love Kyrgios to start. I think it'd be a bit naive. Yes, Kyrgios played at a World Cup. He's got some experience at Spezia. And if Arteta wants him to play, then he plays for me. But again, Sporting Lisbon, difficult ground to go to away from home. Let's play our strongest team and put our strongest foot forward. But we did bring in Kyrgios to do this thing. So I don't know. I think he'll probably go Saliba and Holding or Gabriel Saliba. I'm going to sound like a hypocrite, but while I think Zinchenko should play in one, and I was going to say Zinchenko, I'll probably bring Kieran Tierney in there. I'd probably start Benjamin White as well, even though Tomiyasu could start in midfield. Granit Xhaka, Partey, Odegaard, you know, I do think Fabio Vieira will play. Fabio Vieira, Jorginho, these guys can play if they want. But for me, I want to put our strongest foot forward. Saka on the right. It all depends on Trossard and Nketiah and Jesus, really. But I'd say Saka on the right. I think Nelson's probably played his way into the team if Trossard's fit through the middle. But it's probably, you know, again, Martinelli's the only fit one based on the reports of who can play out front. So I'd probably go Smith-Rowe could play there. I'd probably go Martinelli through the middle, Saka and Reece Nelson either flanks. I think Nelson's played his way into that team. But again, I wouldn't be begrudged if Kyrgios started, Tomiyasu started, Tierney started. Well, Zinchenko in place of Tierney for that example. It all depends, really. It really does depend. It really does depend. When we're going for a league title, I can't be hearing names like Mitchell. I'm name brand, you know, people would have said, I'm not saying you're wrong. And I don't know if we're going for a league title because I don't check the league table, but people must have said that about Benjamin White. People said that about Ramsdale. You know, people said that about several. Jorginho, I'm not going to quite lie and say no one said that about Trossard, but you get the point. We shit right off people before they get a chance. But I do agree, would like some Wavia players. Arteta has to be manager of the season. If he brings the big one home, why not? 45 million, Newcastle or Leicester. Probably Tierney, Tommy, Gabriel, Holding, Jorginho, Xhaka, Nelson, Saka, Martinelli have to go somewhat strong. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Appreciative. 7:50, we're obviously going to be live to watch the Champions League. The thing that Arteta needs to do is know the games where false left back ain't a thing. There'll be a couple of games where having no left back will cripple us. So he needs to be able to manage that correct. Amen, Telwood. Shout out the YouTube members. Tierney for 30 million is embarrassing. Lutoro had a shocking World Cup. If he isn't playing off a big striker, he's not that good. I somewhat agree. When is Tierney's deal up? Not a clue, but he signed a new 2026, the article actually said. Martinez also plays in a 2. Can he do a job solo? I think he's more of a supporting act, as I said. I don't really, if we're spending that sort of money, I'm not begrudging Lautaro Martinez. I think he's wavy. I think he's a good player, South American passion, all of that stuff. But if we're signing another striker, I don't really want them to be that. I want them to be a dog. I want them to live, breathe, and eat and poo goals. I want them to just be one of them guys, really and truly. Preferably someone with a different profile. I know Arteta is never going to be someone that throws the kitchen sink, spams crosses and things, but there's been a couple of games, I think Everton, Newcastle, actually to a degree Bournemouth, where initially at some moments in the game, when we're doing that neat, pretty, we're in front of them, we're zipping it, but we're not really testing the keeper. It makes me think if we had a target man that could obviously play football, a bit like Giroud, that can mix it in and general play and all of that, maybe we'd disrupt low blocks a lot easier. I'd rather go in big 9, has to be a Giroud type. But where are they, though? Because initially we bought Giroud from Montpellier. So what I would say is surely scouts got to do their jobs, really. 65 likes, people. Appreciative of everyone who's hit that like button. I think initially scouts would have to do their job. Big summer for Edu. Player sales and investment needed. Curious to see what he does with what he is given. Otherwise, that's another position we need to improve upon. And timing. You know, I don't want to see us going after Caicedo and Douglas Luiz like we've done the 2 windows last couple of days / hours of the window, because you're not going to get them in, really and truly. I do think Edu's got a bit of an impossible job purely because you don't see what he's doing all the time. You know, you don't see the players he's talked to and whatnot. We don't know the variables that have been shifted. You know, while some people would say, you know what, I like the fact that Arsenal have moved away when it's become clear, for example, with Mudryk, that you're asking for too much money that we ain't got. We're going to step away. Fans will say you haven't really got the number 1 targets, and fans would say, could we move quicker? For me, I'd say the one thing I want to see with Edu is actually 2 things. Rightly or wrongly, go and get Arteta's top targets, because there's obviously been examples we have done that, but there's also been examples where we haven't. Jorginho and Trossard, 2 good players, added something, not belittling them at all, but they weren't the first choice targets. We leveraged the fact that both of them had 2 feet out the door and whatnot. They weren't the initial targets. Get the top targets, and whether it's bad, and I'm not saying you're going to get top money, but you know, our best significant outgoings is still Joe Willock in terms of money, and really just ripping up contracts and getting the influences that are deemed negative out of the club. But I would like to see players sold for decent money. If Balogun is going to be sold, make a decent change on him. Tierney, a decent change on him, really. So that is what I would like to see. It's easier said than done, really and truly. So we'll have to really, really see. But who knows, really. Keep your opinions coming. Let me see what other news there seems to be in relation to Arsenal. Not too much, really. Big up Chuba Akpom, people breaking records at Middlesbrough, that allegedly scoring goals. 85 minutes played, 3 goals, 2 assists. I want to see more for him. No sell for me. I mean, we're not in a position to sell Reece Nelson. His contract's running down. We're kind of not at his mercy, but at his mercy. Again, Balogun fits that more diverse 9 profile. Well played. Why pay for Vlahovic when Balogun is playing as well, if not better? Okay. Balogun could do the business. I hope so. It could be long for Zinni at Anfield, you know, crazy space for Salah to keep running that. And that's why sometimes you need them organic fullbacks. But again, Tierney could argue I'm not even the second choice left back, because I know Tommy Yasu's looked a bit booky when he's played. But you remember you spoke Salah at the Emirates, who had a great man marking job against Mohamed Salah. Tommy Yasu, Lisandro Martinez should have watched them videos before he went and rocked up at Anfield, really. So I think it just shows there's squad depth required, man. You need, you know, not every player is going to be the guy for 38 games, really and truly. It just can't always work out like that. I think at Old Trafford, Zinchenko weren't the thing, because Zinchenko went to sleep for a couple of them goals and he didn't heed the warning just before Anthony or Man United scored. They had an identical opportunity. I believe selling Tierney brings us back to step 1. We need bodies. If that's the plan, we need to upgrade. Need Tomiyasu to get his head screwed on for that Anfield game. Nelson, I would contract him for 3 years and see. I hear that. Interesting comments. Keep them flowing, people. Again, some other articles are emerging online. Whether I believe them or you believe them is another thing. Very angry. Arsenal target contract talks paralysed as Arteta and Edu ideal free transfer. So we've been linked with Asensio again, as has Barcelona and AC Milan. He's out of contract. It seems like he's leaving for free. Let's see this 50 best free signings. Let's see if there's anything there. According to Sport, Asensio's future at Real Madrid is in jeopardy with his relationship with Carlo Ancelotti on the rocks. He's very angry with the former Chelsea boss who has ostracized the player. He has actually played 31 times across all comps this season, though only 10 of those appearances have come as a starter. I mean, he's going to want big money. He's fairly adaptable. If Mikel Arteta wants him, then fire enough. But away from him just being a good player, I think it's a no from me. If you could have Asensio playing to the level he can, and you can give him whatever we gave Odegaard, I'm all for that. But a bit of a myth for me. 20 best footballers out of contract in July 2023 and available as free transfers. Let's humour ourselves. Skriniar seems to be going PSG, so that's a myth, but that would be lovely. Messi would be lovely. If Arteta wants Yuri Tielemans, why not? Karim Benzema would be lovely, but a myth. Zaha, quality player, and I'm not going to really say the time's passed because I think you can look at Partey, Jorginho, El Nene, Granit Xhaka. Them kind of players are at that sort of age, and they're all key players for Arsenal this season and potentially next season in their own ways. Zaha could be one that you could sign. It could tie us over. It could allow other players that are playing them roles to grow. It could allow the scouts time to scout other targets without necessarily killing the pathway. But I think that one day is gone, really and truly. I think that one day is gone. Marcus Thuram, I'm not really convinced. Ivan Ndika, if Arteta wants him, then fair enough. But it seems like with Kyria, we signed the left-sided centre-back. Kante, myth. Kamad is decent, but no. Wouldn't mind Gundogan. Wouldn't mind Firmino for a couple of years. Why not? Again, wouldn't kill the pathway. Think they're decent players. And as we've shown with Jorginho, Trossard, Benjamin to a degree, and Ramsdale, we have been going down the Premier League route. It didn't quite work with Cedric and William, but less about that. But yeah, out of this list so far, Firmino, Gundogan would be the ones for me. Soyuncu, myth, Asensio, not really for it. Rafael Guerrero, you know what? Actually, he plays central midfield sometimes for club and country. We've been linked with him again. He's a player I've liked since his Lorient days. If he's a free agent, not quite Zinchenko, but maybe him. And as you can see, Glimundo, you sell Tierney for something decent. You bring kind of these man in. Why not? Tony Kroos would be lovely for some of the players to say they've worked with, but myth as well. Bamba, myth. So yeah, decent little players there, really. Bukayo Saka and Martinelli have become 1v1 specialists at Arsenal thanks to Mikel Arteta's tactics. Fair enough. What is this actually said? Martinelli ended an 8-game run without a goal by scoring late at Villa Park and has shown his quality in scoring the winner at Leicester and adding 2 more against Everton. His extreme pace coupled with his composed finishing is a rare combination. The Brazilian is the 5th highest scorer in the Premier League, with Saka not far behind. The England international has also provided 9 assists, more than anyone else in double figures for goals. Worth remembering that both are only 21 years of age. That's why they've been given the contract and the money. But these talented young players are also the beneficiaries of a system that is set up for them to succeed. Amen. We tried to help them with our way of playing to get them into positions as much as possible. The statistics show this is very clear. There is data now available that tracks the number of 1-against-1 situations in which a player finds themselves. These are moments in the game when they have the ball and are isolated against a single opponent. Unlike the statistics for number of dribbles, the player in possession is not required to make a clear and obvious attempt to beat this isolated defender for it to be registered as a 1v1 situation. It simply logs the number of times this situation is created. Saka has managed to find himself in this 1-versus-1 situation with the ball at his feet on 270 occasions in the Premier League this season. That is 67 more than the next player on the list. Only other to have received the ball in this way more than 200 times. That man is Martinelli. As you can see here, Saka is first with 270. Martinelli has 203. Brighton play attacking football. No surprise that Solly March is up there. Jack Grealish the same, obviously, for City. And Mohamed Salah is Mohamed Salah. Given these numbers, it should be no surprise that Saka has completed more dribbles than any other player in the Premier League, with Martinelli once again next on the list. They are so regularly in situations that encourage them to take on their marker. It means they can also be more dangerous when taking on an opponent. Saka has attempted the most dribbles of anyone in the Premier League, but compare him to the man who is second on that list, Zaha, and the circumstances are different. Over half of the 110 dribbles that Saka has attempted, 65 of them, in fact, or 59% have come when in a 1v1 situation. Zaha, the Crystal Palace forward, is not far behind with 94 attempts, but only 22, just 23% have been when 1v1. For Liverpool's Mohamed Salah, the percentage is even lower. Only 18 of those 85 attempted dribbles have been in 1v1 situations. In fact, of the top 10 dribblers who are the only ones to attempt more than half the dribbles in 1v1 situations, Saka and Martinelli. Being in a dominant team helps with the number of promising situations. Arsenal have had more of the ball than 18 of the other 19 teams in the Premier League. It might be seen as entirely logical that this would lead to the players having more opportunities. But there's more to it than that. The circulation of the ball, the entire setup of with this in mind, he's trying to create these situations for wide players so that they can penetrate the defensive line of the opponent. And that's true, you know. You typically see if Zinchenko goes inside, Xhaka holds his width. The man in front of Xhaka, whether that's Trossard or sometimes Martinelli, kind of has the time when to go out to win. Benjamin White either makes the overlap or goes inside and allows Saka to step inside. And it makes sense. It makes complete sense. It's a lovely system that Mikel Arteta has from us. Consider the fact that overlapping fullbacks were once seen as a staple of attacking play. It's inverted now. Their presence used to create an overload if the opposite winger did not track the run or to buy that slightest bit of space, even if they did. Arsenal do it a lot less. As with Pep Guardiola at Man City, who often looks to do much the same with Jack Grealish and Mahrez, the idea is to stay away from the winger. Look at the position of Benjamin White early in the game against Everton when Saka is in possession. Arsenal's 3-2-5 formation sees White providing defensive support if the winger is dispossessed, while Odegaard moves into the half space. And we actually saw that when Zinchenko set up Saka as well in this very game. A rather more suitable player to take advantage of any quick exchanges that might be available to Saka. The level of detail extends beyond the number of times that Arsenal can work the ball into wide areas. It also involves their precise body positioning. As Arteta, I'm sure you've all seen the video. Arteta wants you to receive it if you're a winger when you're running onto it, versus necessarily always at your feet. We've seen this. Arteta has spoken about all of this. It's quite lovely. Arteta wants Saka and Martinelli to collect the ball on the angle facing goal. I do not like creating straight lines between the wide players. Why? Because the fullback passes to the wide player like this and his back is to goal. As I just said, he cannot progress the play. There's always someone at his bum. Why? He cannot play forward, which is true. So it's lovely to see really and truly what we're doing over them sides. Apparently Smith Rowe's determined to seize historic Arsenal chance after injury nightmare. Has he been speaking himself? If he hasn't been speaking himself, I don't want to see this, man. Big up Smith Rowe, but yeah, I don't want any more think pieces. Apparently, Arsenal and Atletico, in contact with Dortmund Bosman Daoud, who used to play for Gladbach. Apparently, he's drawing interest from Atletico, Sevilla, AC Milan, Napoli, and Leicester City. Arsenal, Roma, Real Betis, Fenerbahce, and Galatasaray are also in the mix. Arsenal and Atletico have made inquiries, while the other 8 clubs are showing very strong interest. Daoud has only played 7 competitive games this season. In total, there has been 5 goals and 16 assists in 138 games in the Dortmund jersey. So, doesn't seem like there's anything else in that regards, really and truly, people. 80 likes, 20 more until we have 100. If you haven't smashed the like button, make sure you've done such, people. Everyone is rating Osimhen so highly, but I'm convinced Tony would have a similar impact, similar amount of goals in that Napoli squad for half the price. Tony is on 15 in a much harder league at a mid-table team. I'd love Tony, but with the match-fixing thing don't know what's going on, Brentford probably price him out of a move. Even when everyone's fit, who's the backup to Saka? Marquinhos. Right now, it's not Marquinhos. He's doing well at Norwich, but he's at Norwich. Tomiyasu is for the trenches. Did a number on Salah last time out. Loves these sort of assignments. Martinelli's the best finisher at the club. I disagree, you know. I think he's actually Trossard. Goals are not going to back that up, but I think it's actually Trossard now, you know. Maybe I think Jesus is quite lit at them. I don't know. You go with that. I think it's between Jesus and Trossard for me. Martinelli isn't far behind because as good as Martinelli is, all of them really, there's some chances that are food and drink and Martinelli makes a hash of it. Saka the same. They're young dons. It's going to happen. Essential is in a good backup / pushing Saka. 2 different styles on the ball. So if one ain't, the other could work on the night and could maybe play Bergkamp 10, not Odegaard 10. Hear that? Trossard, Smith Rowe. Great, good stream, G. Appreciate that. Tomiyasu against City was rough, though. Tomiyasu in his last few games, let's be real, has not seized his opportunities. You know, rubbish against City. Made a silly mistake. Didn't quite recover. Obviously, against Bournemouth, I got the premise of him starting, but didn't offer nothing off the ball. Weren't really tested defensively. You know, the goal weren't his fault, but it is what it is. You saw what Benjamin White brought. Forget his goal. You saw Saka look a lot better. And that's what's going to harm Tomiyasu, mate. Tomiyasu might even get the Tierney treatment, but with Tierney, with Tomiyasu, sorry, it'd be nice to see him filling that centre half on occasion because he can play that. Apparently, Arteta's plan is for Smith Rowe to play in Arsenal's front three, but long term, there's a belief among the coaching staff he could end up playing as a number 8 in midfield alongside Martin Odegaard. I mean, I think everybody believes that. As I said, Fabio Vieira, Martin Odegaard, Smith Rowe. There's no reason you lot can't be 8s. Remember when some Arsenal fans were saying Trossard should play 8? Fucking out. Can't lie to you. Long-term 8. Dahoud interest. Sorry, people. Just making another timestamp for you lot. I care about you. If you're watching this on a replay, smash the like button. DG, you think Nelson could start on Thursday? Well, we haven't really got too many options. You know, Jesus probably not going to be fit. We hope to see him in the squad, but Jesus not going to be fit. Trossard, we hope it's more positive than not, especially going into Fulham on Sunday. But we don't know for Trossard. We don't know for Eddie. You know, Nelson could go on the left, Martinelli up front, Saka on the right. You know, Smith Rowe could also go on the left, and you could do something else. Smith Rowe, could also play as a false 9, as Arteta keeps saying, and he's done before. I think Nelson surely has played his way into the game against Sporting Lisbon, but I'm not too sure really. Yeah, Trossard is a great finisher and makes nothing and does something with it. I get Odegaard reborn vibes with Asensio. Would love to see it, man. Would love to see it, but boy, Declan Rice. I mean, he's not signed for Arsenal yet, so the dream is free. The Arsenal is firmly sold separately in relation to Declan Rice. 50 more likes and we've hit 100 people. Appreciative. Pack, appreciate you tuned in. Blessings right back at you and everybody tuned in, people. On that note, though, I don't want to bore you lot anymore. We've been here for an hour and 10 minutes. Your talking points, your engagement, you know, everything has been amazing from you lot. Again, more content to come. If you haven't smashed the like button, let's help grow our platforms, people. Again, 7:50, we're watching Chelsea against Dortmund. Hopefully Dortmund do us a favour. Thursday, we're watching Sporting Lisbon against Arsenal, people. I think we kick off at 5:45. So I think, yeah, I'm going to be live an hour before kickoff, as I always am for Arsenal games, 4:45. Wednesday, we're watching, you know, a Neymar-less PSG against Bayern Munich, people. I haven't quite decided what shirt I'll wear, whoever wins in it, really. So, yeah, you lot stay blessed, stay safe. Hope you and your loved ones are in good health and having a great week. I'm going to love and leave you lot. One love.
Against this right back, Charlie, definitely.
Against this right back, Charlie, definitely.
Because you always use that active red light defenders. I think it's like
Tongue